Hello, that's me. Welcome back. In studio, joined by Raphaël Melançon today. He's in for Jim Meny for the next couple of days. Raph, thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody.
Nice to see you. So we got a couple of things to talk about today. Might as well start with what happened yesterday, the announcement that Eric Ducharme is no longer the CEO of the SAAQ, which means he has now become the third person basically in 3 years to get axed. First the minister, and then the person before him, and now again. And so when I was doing the story yesterday, I was joking, saying, and my understanding was before they told us that the new CEO, would be the Canadiens coach Marty St. Louis, but it turns out that's not right. Who is this person taking over?
So this new person taking over, at least for the interim for now, is Annie Lafont. So she comes from the private sector. She has been working as the VP of Marketing and Online Sales for Beneva, the
insurance company.
The insurance company,
okay.
Yes. Before joining the SAAQ as VP of Insured Services about 4 months ago only. So she's fairly new to the organization. Aaron, I think there's a reason why she was chosen. It's because her marketing background will certainly help in times of crisis management like this one here. So
but you said she was in digital services, right? That's like a bonus.
Marketing and digital services.
Okay.
Yes. So she has knowledge of this. She's worked also at CA Quebec prior to being with Beneva and the predecessor of Beneva, because it's been merged with La Capitale Assurance to become Beneva. But she's been in the private sector for a long time. So let's hope she will bring some of that private sector culture into the SAAQ and hopefully improve the efficiency of the organization, because right now it's going nowhere.
Yeah. Now, I know Geneviève Guilbeault called the press conference yesterday where she introduced Annie Lafont, and I think today, from what I heard, the government actually came out, the CAQ said they're not done necessarily cleaning house here. What does that mean?
Exactly. So basically, what Geneviève Guilbeault told us is that there will be more action taken pretty soon. And as she acknowledged, Quebecers are very angry right now to discover what's happening with the Galland inquiry. They want heads to roll.
Yeah.
So, of course, I think here also the transport minister is also trying to protect herself by firing scapegoats. She knows she could be affected too. Who knows? Eventually, there will be a cabinet shuffle. François Legault promised a cabinet shuffle pretty soon, so she might be also affected by this. Let's not forget also François Bonnardel, her predecessor as transport minister, who knew as soon as 2021 that there were going to be major delays in the SACLIC project. He did not think it was a good idea to inquire about the cost, because whenever there's a public project that's delayed, usually it comes with major costs also that are involved here. But apparently he didn't know about it. But I mean, I think he and his office should have asked questions about this. As minister, you're ultimately the one who's responsible for all the agencies and departments within your ministry, and I believe that, who knows, we'll see in a few weeks from now with François Legault's cabinet shuffle. But these could be affected. Of course.
Cabinet shuffle aside, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, and we've talked about it here on the show as well. James Meny has talked about it. Are you one of those people who thinks that François Legault is not long for this job?
I'm pretty sure that if in 6 months from now, the polls haven't changed for the CQ, it's going to be a similar scenario to what happened to Justin Trudeau at the beginning of the year. So internally right now, people are worried, but they haven't yet started to panic. But eventually, the pressure will grow on the shoulders of François Legault, and he will have no other choice but to resign eventually towards the end of the year or beginning of 2026. Because if the CQ wants to hold a leadership convention, they have to do it quite swiftly in a few months during the spring, winter or spring, and then elect a new leader to be ready to lead that party into the next election, which will be held at the latest in the fall of 2026.
See, the difference, though, between François Legault, and you're suggesting if things don't get better, he will be forced to or will resign. When Justin Trudeau resigned, he was part of the Liberal Party. This is François Legault's party.
Absolutely.
Right? It's his party. How's that going to work?
Yes, but I wrote about that in the Gazette recently. It's because it's his party, he should be the one sacrificing himself right now. What's at stake here is not just François Legault's future as premier. Yeah. It's also the survival of his party, of the third way that he pushed so hard to create and become a reality. So he should sacrifice himself eventually if he sees that this is going nowhere. According to the latest projections, the CQ could be left with 0 seats in the National Assembly. This would be a catastrophe, and I think he has to take the bullet and let someone else lead his party and hopefully try and save the most they can for this party.
So you're talking about if things don't get better in 6 months, how much of a difference is how well they do or how poorly they do in Athabasca?
Well, that could also add to the pressure he will be feeling on his shoulders for sure. Because if there's a catastrophic result for him in Athabasca, if he finishes, let's say, fourth behind the Liberals, then questions will start to be raised internally, certainly, and maybe some ministers or some MNAs might be tempted to speak up publicly and ask for his resignation.
I was talking yesterday, speaking of parties and survival, if Francois Legault, his own CAC, and he walks away, it's about the survival of the party. We were talking yesterday because I think there was a Leger poll that came out and showed support for the NDP. I mean, literally at historic lows, 13% of Canadians who said they would consider voting NDP. And the question came, and I think some pundits have raised it as well, it's not just about a party disappearing. They've been around since 1961. It's about, critically, for a democracy, we need a third party. You agree with that?
Absolutely. A third and fourth and fifth, actually. The more choices you have as a voter, the healthier is our democracy in the end. So, of course, losing the NDP, I mean, I'm not necessarily in line with the NDP's ideology, but I think they brought something on the table in the political landscape of this country. And they brought some great ideas. If you look just the dental care program we have now on the federal stage, we have to give them credit for that. They are the ones who pushed Justin Trudeau to implement it. So of course, maybe they've never been in power, but they have made significant changes. They have pushed for significant changes in Canadian politics.
When I asked this, when I brought it up on the show yesterday, I asked callers or listeners to kind of weigh in on what happened, what went wrong. One thing that comes up, of course, a lot, you mentioned, the dental care plan. All that stuff about, the supply and services agreement signed with the government, then Jagmeet Singh making a big deal about ripping it up.
Right.
There was a lot of, we're going to do this if, and push never came to shove. And I think maybe for a lot of Canadians, I don't know if you agree, by virtue of, Jagmeet Singh never actually doing that and threatening just only to bring down the government, but never moving forward, if that hurt the party.
Yeah, and I think we also have here a good example not to follow for François Legault, because we have a leader who was way behind in the polls and still cling to his seat and to his function as leader of that party, leading that party into an election that has been catastrophic to them. They were never able to pick up any momentum in the last federal election, and I think there are lessons to be learned for François Legault, knowingly that he is pretty much in the same situation right now with the CEQ on the provincial stage.
Speaking of federal politics, you want to mention as well, so Carney's regulatory review, we already know about, these suggested cuts to public spending, pretty big cuts too, 7%, 10%, right? That's a lot of money.
15% by 2028.
Yeah, which I think a lot of Canadians will say, well, wait a sec, he promised he would, so we're not going to hold that against him. Your suggestion is he's moving a little farther from the left into the middle here, becoming more of a conservative?
Well, he's certainly governing like a progressive conservative right now, not necessarily a full Poilievre-style conservative, but he is certainly picking ideas from the conservative program or the conservative ideological current, certainly. I mean, if you look at the announcement that they've done, they're now tackling what Carney calls unnecessary red tape to, quote, unlock Canada's full economic potential, make the government more efficient, make its processes more effective, so reduce bureaucracy, reduce regulations so that businesses can thrive. This is not really something we have heard under Justin Trudeau. So Carney is it's the same party that's been governing this country for 10 years now, but just the change in the leader, the change in Prime Minister shows a drastic change in the direction that this government is taking, and it's quite interesting to see. I would honestly say, as a former Conservative staffer under Stephen Harper, this is music to my ear, really, Aaron.
I wonder, too, though, people talk about, so we mentioned Carney and moving this way, very different from Justin Trudeau, which was spend. Here's a guy who wants to cut the public service. Then there's the issue of Pierre Poilievre, right? Who there's going to be a review there. He's running, of course, in that by-election in Alberta. Is that a shoe-in as far as you're concerned? Because some people make the point, I think half-jokingly, things are going so well for Mark Carney now. What's Pierre Poilievre going to do to criticize some of this stuff, which is stuff he'd be pushing anyway?
Absolutely, and it's really hard. It's a hard time right now for poor Pierre Poilievre because he's seeing his ideas being stolen. He's not even in the House of Commons right now to criticize the government. He'll get elected. Let's face it. It's going to be a ride in the park for him to get elected in Alberta. No worries there. But the thing is, right now, if you look at the polls, like 2 weeks ago, Abacus Data published a poll. 52% of Canadians currently believe that the Carney government is off to a good start. 48% of Canadians right now have a positive impression of the the Prime Minister, and most of all, 1 in 5 Conservative voters approve of the Liberal government's policies right now. So it's a hard time for the Conservatives, certainly.
Pierre Poilievre, you're saying is a walk in the park to win in Alberta, you think?
I think it's going to be an easy one. Well,
okay.
it's the Conservatives in Alberta. So, I mean, I don't see anywhere where the Liberals could pull a win in this riding, honestly. It's a stronghold.
I heard a woman who's an independent, I think her name is Bonnie Crombie, whatever, running as an independent. She was pretty good when I heard her on one of the programs recently. And she says, you know what, it's kind of wrong for the guy to have given up his seat. Right, for Pierre Poilievre to just waltz in and win. I wonder how many people look at that and go, you know what? I kind of agree with her.
Sure,
so who knows?
I mean, the Conservative Party has a strong electoral machine. They're going to put all the resources and the efforts they have behind their leader right now. They're getting at the vote strategy is strong. I'm pretty sure this is an easy one to pull for Pierre Poilievre in Alberta. And most of all, the Liberals want him also to be in the House of Commons. That's certainly because right now he's a weak leader facing Mark Carney, because Carney is bringing 1 in 5 people voting for the Conservatives right now agree with the Liberal policy. So it's a big change also for the Liberals. They're going, as you mentioned, towards the center. They're going back to the values and the policies that have made the success of this party under the Chrétien and Martin eras. And so it's going to be a tough one for the Conservatives, which are stuck between basically the center right and maybe the idea of maybe going even further right.
It's going to be interesting, which is something I think we're all looking forward to. Raphaël, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming in.